Follow your dreams, move through precision. Use that song in your heart for each intention. Follow your dreams, thoughts true, attempted. Your creation exists just beyond the template. Welcome to Beyond the Template, the More Than Just Talk podcast, created by me, Caroline Amelie, a writer, artist, counselor, and learning designer. Happy Friday, all. This week I'll be sharing what's winning in education right now. We'll check in on how our projects are going, and I'll discuss how to narrow down the characteristics and traits for our audience through considering context. And we'll hear the story of someone who surpassed all odds against him to bring innovation into the world. I hope this episode will inspire and uplift you and help you continue towards your goals. Hey, and thanks for listening. If you are new to the podcast and just joining us, welcome. This podcast follows a step-by-step approach to bringing your vision to life. If you haven't done so yet, please make sure to check out the last few episodes to catch up with our group of creatives. One of my listeners told me last week that my voice makes them go to sleep. If you are listening before bed, you're welcome. But otherwise, there's a reason that I encourage everyone to take a break while listening. As someone who hates long lectures and someone who personally has the attention of an acorn, I hope you will breathe and move as we check in together. But if you are forced to sit at your desk, please get up and stretch now. Even better, go take a walk if you can and get some fresh air. Or, for those of you who are driving, pay attention to the road. For my listeners who have been following along, I thrive off of feedback like this. Please reach out to me with suggestions and criticisms on what you've heard so far. These can include what you feel isn't working, what you would like to hear, ideas for the expander of the week, or ways I can make this podcast more interesting and inspiring for you. You are who I'm doing this for. That being said, maybe this podcast should be more of a nightcast? What do you think? I bet I would have been great at being a 3 a.m. DJ back in the 1900s. If you want more of a nighttime lo-fi vibe, let me know. This would be great feedback. My listener shout out goes to Jessica in North Carolina. Jessica is a force to be reckoned with, which is why her telling me that my voice is so soothing she can barely keep her eyes open while listening to me was so impactful. I may have a superpower because she is a superwoman. Jessica wears many hats as a mom and works full-time in leadership of a college, but she's also just become a licensed realtor for Keller Williams. You can find her at JessicaMoran at kw.com. I'll have this link in this podcast description. Jessica, please wake up. I need more feedback. Let's get into the good news of the week. All good news links can be found in my blog and on YouTube if you're curious to read more. Here are some of the top headlines that I read which might uplift and inspire you this week. Each is happening in the USA. A college student was tired of seeing red Solo cups litter her campus, so she invented a way to turn them into sweaters. Tufts University decided that it will be tuition-free for U.S. families earning less than $150,000. An author outfitted an old pickup truck to become a traveling banned bookstore. A Brunswick school's lunch debt was paid off by an anonymous donor. Arizona State University received a $115 million philanthropic investment from the Rob Walton Foundation for Conservation Science Learning and Workforce Development. And finally, a new beekeeping program is helping prison inmates heal through nature. I love hearing about recovery programs like this, where those incarcerated are given the tools to make a positive impact on their community and the world, many of which who weren't given any such opportunity before because of the resources around them. It's training and development at its finest, in my opinion. In one of my very first counseling courses, I learned that punishment is the least impactful stimulus when trying to change behavior, no matter the age of the recipient. I hope programs like this will keep being funded. Hearing news which aligns with my own value system makes me hopeful for the world. I hope this gave you a little bit of hope too. Other things I responded to this week included stress management from the barrage of social media fear-mongering over rapture talk. Did anyone else see these videos? Apparently, the rapture was to take place on the 23rd. In my astrology circles, weirdly, not so weirdly, I've been hearing about this week as well, but for months at this point. I've seen post after post about eclipse season and about some opposing celestial energies which warn of more challenges, explosiveness, opposition, violence, aggression, and confrontations abounding. Super cool. Because it was so boring before, right? Who else is tired? So I took a step back from media consumption this week and instead played a full video game. Sometimes we need whimsy in our lives. I know I'm not the only one. I recently saw a reel of a grown man who has now bought himself multiple dancing squid toys just to watch them dance with one another. Have you seen these? They're pretty great. His laughs were big, they were genuine, and it reminded me that right now we all need to do what we need to do to keep going. So buy the damn toy you want. Put a sticker on your laptop. Wear the fun socks. Sing songs and dance in your car and at home. Last week I bared my soul on my true feelings regarding social media and why I needed to dramatically shift away from what I've been testing this year. I decided to burn my approach to the ground because it was focused on sales and it felt wrong and unhelpful. My new approach will be a micro version of how I organize this podcast. Each post will be a micro lesson. My prompt of the week connects to this, and here it is. Vote on which type of content you're curious to grab in the form of micro lessons on my socials. Your choices are neuroscience, learn about how the brain works, memory and learning hacks, psychology and mental wellness, creativity, imagination, and creative solutions to self-care. I would love for my content to be as impactful as possible. If you feel called to support my accounts, please set up a notification for my Reels, posts, and stories. And if you have anyone in your life which might enjoy what I'm trying to do, please share with them so they can follow along too. Okay, what have I been working on during Rapture Week aside from playing a video game? Last time I shared that my creative project aligned with both needs and problems to solve is to build a community of individuals who are driven, hold vision, carry similar values, inspire and support one another, and love exploring ideas, cultures, and places together. I asked you all to consider characteristics and traits which may be important in the success of your own work. Here's what this looked like for me. General characteristics. In terms of identities and backgrounds, the more diverse the better. Creative collaborative strength comes from bringing people together who have different perspectives. In terms of financial means, my audience will need to be able to invest in their creative work and invest in attending live events, online and in person, which may require travel. Specific characteristics. I listed these already. I'm looking for people who are driven, hold vision, and love exploring. They need to be competent in their own creative outlets, be open-minded, and have the skills needed to serve as a support system for their peers. If you've ever been in a group project where one or more members did the bare minimum, this is what I'm not looking for. Learning styles that are preferred in yourself or your audience. I listed these already too. I'm looking for people who, like me, have a hunger for learning about new people, cultures, and places. Most likely, these will be people who love to read and learn, have no issue watching films with subtitles, desire to travel, and enjoy having intellectual conversations. Audience's prior track record with achieving something new. These individuals will need to be able to talk to strangers. They have to have the courage to cross those thresholds. Don't forget, my community will be intentional and empathy-driven so it feels inclusive. I am an introvert. I know what social anxiety feels like, but I also know what it feels like when the burden of responsibility to connect is removed and I immediately feel welcome. But if this audience can't muster up the energy to get to the doorway, they might not be for this project. Personal and social characteristics. This is a community for people who want to listen, people who are sensitive to those around them, people that can hold space for others, those with emotional integrity and intelligence, people who are self-aware, and those with humility. We are all a work in progress, but this needs to be a safe space above all else. Cultural characteristics. I believe the best creativity is manifested through experience, so I'm seeking individuals who've really lived or seek to do so. I identify best with those who have been through something challenging or something that really brought their humanity into focus. I believe this sort of experience offers the opportunity for deep connection with others. Accessibility-related characteristics. Heck yes. Everyone knows that inclusivity is big for me. I'm nowhere near perfect with this. I'm always learning how to be more inclusive and considerate. So I hope we will have those that can offer their perspectives and needs, whether they feel comfortable in advocating or just showing up as themselves. That was a lot. At the end of this podcast, I'll give you some final questions to synthesize as well as introduce the additional contextual factors which should be considered as we plan and research. Planning and researching, as any true innovator and creator knows, can sometimes lead you to the unexpected. It is the surprises that make us great. My expander of the week is a perfect example of how we might have a destination in mind, but the journey takes us elsewhere and we find ourselves doing something we couldn't have dreamed up. My expander this week is Frederick McKinley Jones. Jones was born in 1893 in Kentucky, USA. His mother left when he was a toddler, and his father struggled to care for him on his own, leading Jones, at the mere age of 7, to be placed in a Catholic rectory orphanage in Ohio. At 11, Jones left school on his own to work odd jobs for 3 years until becoming a largely self-taught auto mechanic at 14 years old, showing his early on innate curiosity and natural inclination towards engineering. At 19, Jones moved to Minnesota to serve as a mechanic on a 50,000-acre farm owned by the same man who owned the Great Northern Railroad. This proximity allowed Jones to learn both electrical work and steam locomotive mechanics and gain his engineering license at 20. Jones served alongside his countrymen. When his outstanding mechanical skills were noted, he was promoted to sergeant to work as a teaching electrician. He would be responsible for the successful electric, telegraph, and telephone services of his camp. After his service ended, he returned to expand further on his electronic skills and would build his Minnesota town's first radio station transmitter, a device which synced sound with motion pictures, and a ticket dispensing machine for movie theaters. This work aligned him with local entrepreneur Joseph A. Numero, who hired Jones on to convert silent movie projectors into audiovisual ones. After working for Numero for 11 years, Numero commissioned Jones to design what was called the Thermo Control Model A automatic truck refrigeration unit, which Jones eventually transitioned to the Model B and then Model C, each iteration solving the problems of the last. The first was too heavy. The second was too flimsy, but the third, Model C, would eventually be manufactured for military use on trucks and then for commercial use as well. Jones is well known for his impact on food access through refrigerated transport, but in his lifetime he would also invent a portable X-ray machine, an early prototype for a snowmobile, and an early radio service specifically designed for local doctors. All in all, Jones was awarded 61 patents, and 40 of them were for refrigeration equipment. He was awarded the National Medal of Technology in 1991 as the first African American to receive this honor, and inducted into the National Inventors Hall of Fame in 2007 for mobile refrigeration, 46 years after death. While he would never know these prestigious honors, Jones was inducted as the first African American member of the American Society of Refrigeration Engineers in 1944 when he was 51. I hope he knows how much he is respected and appreciated today. His quote-unquote home state of Minnesota recently celebrated him through the NPR Wander and Wonder series earlier this year. That article, along with several other resources, can be found in this episode's description. All right, now, let's turn it back to you. It's time to grab your notebook. We have 2 sections this time: synthesis of characteristics and traits, and new contextual considerations. This will be a bit heavy, so please remember that these key concepts and reflection questions can be found in my blog for you as a free digital download. This along with the full transcript. Links can be found in the podcast description. Here are some final questions to consider regarding characteristics and traits. Number 1. Why do you think it's important to give attention to learner characteristics when planning your work specifically? Number 2. Which characteristics are the most important to consider? How can you obtain more information about these? Number 3. What limitations might these characteristics place on your creative design? And finally, number 4, what contextual factors should you consider for the success of your work? Here are the 3 main types of contexts to consider in your creative work. Experiential context. These are all the technical aspects which might mean the physical environment or the space that it's in, which can enhance or detract from the work, such as lighting, noise, temperature, room for movement, and accommodations. Or the physical and technological materials needed for the work. Here are some examples from that list I shared in episode 2. Course or workshop. This could mean projectors, computers, handheld devices, etc. Community garden. What electricity and watering systems are needed? Book or script. Writing software like Final Draft, writing instruments, meeting software like Teams or Zoom. If you're writing a song, obviously you'll need some speakers, sound system, and microphones to perform it. Community mural. What is needed for creating and protecting the in-progress work? Organization or club. You need to be able to communicate, so you need software for that. And new or stronger relationship with yourself or with others, well, I'll let you use your imagination. Orienting context. What are your audience's goals for wanting to be part of your project? What are they seeking? What are your audience's assumptions about your project, and how will it impact them? What roles do your audience see as their responsibility in their participation? How invested are they in the work? Transfer context. What are the takeaways you hope your audience will gain from your work? How can you ensure that your audience doesn't just consume and forget? In what ways can you plant a seed or imprint your work on them so they carry your work with them? That was a ton of questions. Since my major pivot in episode 3, I'm actually now in sync with you all, which means we'll be working towards our goals together for the remainder of the season. Next week, I'll be answering these questions, and in the next episode, I'll share with you what I learned. Thank you all for joining me. Thank you for listening to Beyond the Template. You're doing great. Keep it up. Keep it creative. My name is Caroline Amelie LeBeuf. I have a degree in art and in counseling, and also professional level certificates in educational advising and learning design and technology. Roles I have carried include illustrator, photographer, writer, traveler, mentor, instructor, and most recently, entrepreneur. If you are curious to learn further about the work I offer my clients, check out cameliedesigns.com. That's cameliedesigns.com.